Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Air Tycoon Online 3. It's been more than 2 days since I recorded the last episode. That's because we had a really catastrophic economic collapse in that time. Well, I was hoping for a decent or more relaxed economic collapse. It was a really bad one. And almost every single turn when it was going down, it went down by over, what's it called, 100 points of World Traveler Index, meaning at the bottom, we had less than 2,000 World Traveler Index, which I think might be the first time I've ever seen that. Cities like Moscow were 200 business and 200 tour at that time, meaning just I could not make any money, guys. Let's go back and look at in the peak of the economic crisis. We were losing a lot of money. The upticks were still good, funnily enough, like 300K on an uptick. Um, but the downtakes were just catastrophically negative. Like was negative 430K on the worst one. Um, yeah, it was not good. It was not good. Um, and the recovery is not good either. As we can see that the current world traveler ranks of 2,600 basically is considerably below the 2,900 or so we had before the crash. Um, yeah, meaning my profit hasn't quite recovered either. The uptakes are now slightly less than 550K, where we were at 570K on the last uptake before the economic crash. Um, and the downtakes are where we hurt a lot worse, where we're under 200K, where the downtakes before the economic crash, let's go all the way back. It's going to be a while. Here we go. We're about 300K at the worst. So yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate because the strategy I'm using of Boeing 747s and such. Excuse me, I'm still a little bit sick. I might have long COVID or something. Um, but yeah, the strategy I'm using with the Boeing 747s and the Tupolevs basically means I have a lower margin than most airlines, which means I'm particularly susceptible to economic crises as I set up my companies basically exactly for the World Traveler Index we get. And when it's not like that, we get these enormous profit swings where normally the route would have enough demand to support like a um, much more balanced graph where it's just hovering near 100% occupancy all the time. But yeah, hopefully um, the World Traveler Index doesn't get worse, and we can actually fly some good and profitable routes. So one thing I want to do this episode is open up a new base in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is one of the cities which recovered the best and now has the highest World Traveler Index. Sorry, still, yeah, just a little bit uncomfortable there, but I really want to play right now, so we're gonna record this episode anyway. Let's of course order some Tupolevs. I have a lot of bases now for Tupolev dumping, basically. I, of course, don't want to not fly them. Um, but yeah, of course, we're buying them also just so we can lease more 747s, right? So, anyways, with that done, let's take a look at what kind of routes we want to open to Los Angeles. So, when I'm looking at this, I see a lot of stopover options to Asia. Some of them good, some of them less good. Um, Jesus, Liverpool is not even 300 business and tour combined now. That is really crazy to look at. Anyways, with this kind of like a little bit of insight on the kind of size of cities we're working with, um, yeah, we could use quite a few. We could use quite a few 747s. Let's see the range of this, just a little bit too far. I know there's a few routes I need to make to New York as well. So, um, yeah, we're gonna need at least five. I think, yeah, I think this is actually, I know we want probably about five with bigger premium cabin. Maybe something like this. I think we need about five of these. And then we need quite a few more with a much smaller premium cabin. Something like this. And actually, let's order these after we make the first batch of routes, just so we don't get the planes mixed up. So one of them I wanted to do was Buenos Aires. I completely forgot about Buenos Aires and Montevideo. So I wanted to make a stopover out of Buenos Aires and maybe Lisbon. Yep, this is a decent stopover route. It's a bit too far to stop over from Lisbon to East Asia at this time, right? And there's no big cities in Central Asia. So this is kind of the only stopover route that's good and possible with South American cities right now, and Lisbon, as Lisbon to what's it called? Lisbon to Asia is just a bit too far right now, so I can't make a stopover route that way. Let's see if Buenos Aires is reachable to my European hubs, and it is not, which is why I'd forgotten about it. Is it reachable to Los Angeles? Not quite either. Okay, so let's go ahead and start opening the Los Angeles stopovers. Let's do Berlin first. There's no options to Berlin here. Um, so instead, let's do it the other way. Let's do Los Angeles to Berlin, and then Los Angeles to somewhere real close. Like this is a stopover for being a stopover's sake, basically. Um, the second leg is there basically to make a little bit of money. It won't lose money, and it'll probably even have decent load factors given it's only 5 schedules per week for a very excuse me, for a very short haul route, which actually should make it have decent load factors. Anyhow, let's go ahead and continue to look for these stopovers. Let's do something like this. I think to Beijing. Yeah, that's a good option. I think Beijing will even get 4 schedules per week, which is kind of exactly what we wanted. I do think the premium class is actually just a little bit too big, so I should have shrunk it for this kind of style of route. I thought there would be. Oh, I remember what this was for now. Whoops. This was for. One of them was for Zurich, I believe. Oh, what this? That's not L.A. Let's do L.A. to Zurich. And I don't know there'll be any options on this side. Yeah, there isn't. So let's once again go the other way and see what we can find. Zurich to Los Angeles. And see, Lima is taken, but Santiago is available. Santiago is tiny in this world, by the way. So actually, I think I could get a better stopover out of Santiago. Let's do something like this is probably better. Santiago is a very big city for a stopover to Los Angeles. Los Angeles is so good that you can kind of run it to like a more like this is almost a direct route, like 5 schedules per week. A direct route would be 6. So this is almost a direct route, which is a little bonus at the end, which means yeah, we need a city as big as Los Angeles to carry the demand. Basically. So anyhow, we still need this Zurich flight, which, yeah, Zurich to LA, Los Angeles to Santiago would just be a little bit of a waste. Um, can this thing make it to Australia? No, it can't. We need a 777, not a 777. 777 would work, actually. That would have enough range, but we need a different plane for that. 747-200 or SP, I think, are the options right now. I do think I will invest a lot into SPs slightly later on, as SPs are very good mid-ground in between, like Boeing 747-200s, which are very expensive and very good. And like something like a DC-1030. But I will eventually want to grab all the routes to my main hubs, which I've just not taken due to range limitations. Let's give you some examples right now. Like, for example, Paris to Cebu or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, or Taipei. You know, like just good, solid routes, which are just a little bit out of range. You know, stuff like this. I do want to grab all of those eventually. I think a big one is kind of like a Rome, um, for example, where you can't really hit the west coast of the U.S. really well, and it's even more pronounced for places like Athens. If I ever open, this is a hub. Athens is just so disappointing. Having a World Traveler Index in Athens of just what is this, like 550 is super weak. There's not a lot you can do with 550. You basically have to connect it to other super hubs with the 747, like Dallas or Toronto size cities, you know, to really get good value out of that. And well, I could use it to dump Tupolevs, right? I have a lot of Tupolev dumping cities where I can just open like infinite little flights with Tupolevs like this. Um, oh, that's a 747, but that's pretty funny. Let's see if we can find a Tupolev one. Nah, this should be a Tupolev, right? Like good Tupolev routes are very plentiful, right? So they're not really um, the limiting factor. The limiting factor is starting to become good 747 routes, though I still know of a lot of them which are available, which haven't been taken yet, which I will take eventually. I think Guangzhou is a perfect second half of this route. Um, yes, we are lacking a lot of what's it called? We're lacking a lot of 747s is what we're lacking. So let's go ahead and order another one. We will use the kind of decent size premium configuration for this one because Luxembourg is a decent sized city. Guangzhou to Luxembourg is not quite as good as we'd want, but Guangzhou is a decent city in Asia, and it's a small difference between Guangzhou and the other big hubs in Asia. So we'll go ahead and open that. Let's see. Yeah, Los Angeles is surprisingly untaken. There's just a lot of decent routes just chilling here. And we can dump a lot more 747s into there before we kind of run out of good options. Let's see how Montevideo is and Ascension. Yeah, we can eventually make good stopovers involving New York and LA with that city there. Anyhow, we need a little bit more planes, so let's go ahead and buy more Tupolevs. Ba 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 ba. More Tupolevs, and that should let us lease a few more of these. Let's shrink the premium classes just a little bit here. Not too much. Yeah, maybe something like this. Yeah, that should be fine. Oh my god. I'm still coughing like crazy, I think. Um, I'm agitating my throat a little bit by speaking so much. I need to get some more like lozenges or something like that. Just something to soothe my throat, but I don't run out, so whatever. Anyhow, let's continue to go ahead and make some good routes. Let's do Casablanca. Casablanca is really disappointing in size in this world. Jeez, let's see how much competition there's to Honolulu. It's a 747 stopover, but do I want to compete with that? Not particularly. Let's see how much we can get going the other way to like Sendai or something like that. Yeah, I completely forgot this is a mode of stopover I can do with Los Angeles because it's very close to the Japanese coast. So yeah, we can go ahead and open some of these. I really should have made Los Angeles a hub earlier. I honestly just forgot about it. Like forgot about its stopover potential. I was kind of over focused on the European market just because I love the way stopovers work in the European market, right? But yeah, there's good stopover options in North America too. I just completely forgot about them, and well, this could have been pretty helpful a little bit earlier on. But now that we found it anyway, it's not a big deal. We'll cap it out pretty soon. We're not going to be losing money on downtakes anymore with a 2600 World Traveler Index. Won't be making too much compared to what we could have been if the World Traveler Index was just a bit higher. Like basically, my company is designed almost exactly around the World Traveler Index that the world has been hovering at, which was like 20 six 700 type kind of deal, right? So when it like deviates from that, it really gets kind of much harder than it needs to be. Here's the thing, right? I'm using leased aircraft, which means it lowers my margin a little bit. So a player who doesn't use leased aircraft might have a 30% margin. I have a 20% margin. That means when you lose 10% of your revenue, that will affect me 50% more than the player with 30%. So if we lose 30% revenue, for example, the other guy is not happy about it, but he's not losing money. Where, well, I'm losing tons and tons of money by losing 30% of your margin. And that's kind of what happened during the economic downturn, right? Is my biggest competitors were either neutral or losing a bit of money, and I was losing a lot of money. And yeah, that's just an unfortunate consequence of just dealing with the economic downturn and to set up my company once again, right? By doing the strategy of Tupolevs and 747s, there's some risk involved, of course. You can't join late in a world by 10 years and expect to catch them up very quickly without making some sacrifices, right? So the sacrifice here um, is that we play a lower margin, higher volume, more risky, higher reward kind of play style. And if nothing bad happens, um, then of course we'll be winning. We will close the gap between us and our competitors, kind of probably more quickly than we should in a lot of senses. But if something goes wrong, then we kind of lose all that progress. And I think after I open this route, let me take a look at how the number one player is doing. Once again, you see my credits slowly decreasing over time. 99% of the time, I'm literally just looking at competitors because it's kind of interesting, and I'm kind of bored. And well, it's a tiny proportion of these credits. So yeah, as we can see, my main competitor here is making 500,000, the number one player, um, while I'm currently making only half as much. Um, I know on the upticks, he's not making that much more than me. I haven't checked his latest uptick. I haven't bothered. But if I were to guess, it would be something like 700,000 per turn, which is a smaller gap to where I'm at, right? Like, um, so that's good. But it's going to be quite a long way. I was almost equal to him before the economic crisis, but he was actually profitable during it, which meant he could keep adding routes and I couldn't. And yeah, of course, the end result of him adding routes and me not adding routes is that he is now pulling ahead. But given that I closed the gap of 0 to almost his profit in 6 years, another 6 years of no world traveler index, no fuel spike shenanigans, we should be kind of competitive once again. So now we got 24, 24 count them of these Tupolevs to use. So yeah, that's quite a few. Let's do one thing first. One very important thing before we forget, which is to max out these counters. Yeah, really don't want to run out of counters and stuff. That would have a very, very, very bad effect on your profit. Running, what's it called? Unhappy 747s, I like to call them. Ooh, is my phone about to die? Ooh, 5%. Ooh, need to grab a charger. One sec. I think it's just over here. All right, there we go. Is it actually charging? Okay, yeah, it is. That should keep me going long enough to finish off this episode and just finishing off the Tupolev routes. Yeah, which of course we have all these bases for. The biggest point of them, right, is just to have a set of brand new Tupolev routes, which are good, good and profitable. Of course, you can't add Tupolev routes if you have no slots. So yeah, I think if you're playing kind of along with the same strategy of Tupolev and Boeing, I don't know how many of you guys are. I should ask this at the beginning of an episode, probably when there's more attention. But if you're still listening, first of all, thanks so much for putting up with my coughing and stuff. But one thing I do want to say is, uh, are you running a Tupolev Boeing strategy, or are you just playing your own like safer, like owned planes, 707s, DC-10s, maybe like occasional 747s, but you buy them, that kind of thing, right? Like, what strategies are you guys using to kind of try and grow and that kind of thing? Because uh, like I don't really know. Like, do my videos actually affect what you try, and are you trying to imitate this strategy? Because I don't know how good of an idea it is considering how high risk it is, but at the same time, it's super high reward and super fun when it goes right. So it's like, who is trying to emulate this? That's kind of an interesting question to me. Yeah, anyhow, let's also make sure that we have enough, what's it called, slots and counters and stuff. Yeah, mostly these. It's mostly Tupolevs flying out of Rome, right? But I still don't want it to overcap. Um, yeah, because Tupolevs already have really, really poor satisfaction, right? So I can't imagine poor satisfaction getting worse being a good thing. Anyhow, um, also the Tupelo 124, as you guys could have might have caught, went out of production. Um, yeah, that means we have to use Tupelo 134s, which are a little bit bigger, a little bit more expensive, and just the tiniest bit harder to fill in the sense that if the satisfaction were equivalent, it'd be hard to fill. Tupelo 134 does have fractionally better satisfaction, which actually does make it easier to fill just a little bit compared to the 124. But yeah, most of the annoyance of that is just the higher upfront cost. Um, yeah, that makes it a little bit annoying to like Boeing Tupelo strategy, just a little bit less efficient. You know what I mean? Like it's probably how much 18K versus 22K. That's like what 20% more. Um, so yeah, definitely considerable, but and not game breaking, but just kind of frustrating because you get not 20%, but like 5% less 747s, which honestly is not that bad. Ooh, that was a bad one. Oof, sorry guys, excuse me. Anyhow, let's continue to open more routes. Yeah, as you can see, like having infinite slot requests is super super powerful, and I'm sorry for any of you guys who can't do this and kind of have to play slower. If you are doing the Boeing Tupolev strategy, I would stop probably when you hit around 200 to 300k optics, um, and kind of switch towards 707s as your main plane, and then leasing 747s with the 707s, just because the slot requirement goes down a lot and you can actually keep up, if you just remember to do like a few, like not a game breaking amount, right, but just remember to like log in and do a slot request, um, maybe every hour in throughout the day, right, you should have enough. If you do significantly less than like one login per hour ish, or obviously you could do 4 logins in 1 hour for a few hours of the day, and then not again to the rest of the day, you'll have enough slots to keep it, to keep opening flights basically at the rate you're getting planes, which is kind of what you want, right? And later on, as you get more and more profitable, you won't even be able to keep up with 707s, and you can switch to something like I don't know, 767s, right, which are just a little over 2x as expensive. Um, by the way, I really really love the 767 in this game. It is super super versatile. You can fly it on like almost any route and it'll make money. Obviously, there's a limit. You can't fly it from like the worst hub you can think of to the worst hub you can think of. But like, take a city like Amsterdam in this world, which hasn't even recovered to 600 business and tour. Same with Madrid, right? And you can fly it to like every city you think of, Chihuahua, Tuscan, like any city you've heard of, or even haven't, or just has like 250 business and tour, something like that. You can fly it, and it'll be nice and profitable. Um, and most importantly, it'll be full at almost all times, and it has a good enough base satisfaction, so it won't become like unprofitable after a short amount of time, the way Tuplevs and 707s do, or not unprofitable but less profitable. And well, nobody likes that. Nobody likes the feeling of um, suddenly losing profit just because the planes are kind of old, and then you can do a multi-million-dollar renovation when that could have been spent doing something else, right? So, yeah. Anyhow, let's use Madrid. Let's burn the last few slots here. Um, yeah, like even though Tupolevs are gonna be full on much smaller routes than what I'm opening, I still focus on the better routes first. Just because as the Tupolevs age, they lose satisfaction, right, and they're less likely to drop below kind of certain thresholds to lose load factor if you what's it called? Just pick like slightly bigger routes in the first place, right? So I do still focus the biggest cities I can find, even when I'm just spamming out routes very fast with Tupolevs. Um, of course, it's not too important if you accidentally pick a slightly smaller route. Um, it still will be full. Also, I always forget to do this, but for longer range ones, I do want to use the 61% satisfaction. Um, when I don't, it's often just because I forgot. Yeah, I do intend to actually do use the 61% satisfaction mode more often when I'm getting close to 3,000 kilometers, as it is just a very small increase in cost for a noticeable increase in satisfaction, right? Where in the super short haul routes, if you try and use a high satisfaction rate, you're just going to lose all your money. Actually, let's open some routes from Moscow as, yeah. Ooh, that's a bit too far. Kind of forgot about that. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna focus Moscow a bit, just because I haven't made good routes to most of the good European cities from Moscow yet. So might as well use that as another slot bank. Um, right, I don't need to bank slots um, with three potential airports in every city. Um, I don't think there's a single city, especially with the World Traveler indexes we're getting in this world, which is going to run out of slots. Uh, if, say, you had a really good world, I've had a friend's world which pushed 6,000, 7,000 World Traveler Index. Um, in that case, every big city runs out of slots because there's 10 flights between every big city and every other big city, and there's enough demand for that. And that's freaking awesome. And like cities like Milano and Venice become big enough to be main hubs where you connect it with large planes to every other big and medium and small city, right? Because there's just enough demand for that. But unfortunately, um, I'd be pretty happy if in the late game, like year 2000, this World Traveler Index hits 3,500. I'd be pretty happy. Um, 2,500 does like really unlock things, as a lot of cities which you would not traditionally consider very important become very useful for stopover hubs, like Athens, like Istanbul, Cairo. Um, like at this World Traveler Index, right? Cairo's good, but you wouldn't make money flying 747s to uh, routes like Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Louisville, just these mid-sized cities. They have to be like marquee cities that almost everyone in the world has heard of. Almost everyone in the world has heard of Philadelphia, or like anyone remotely aware of geography, at least, right? Or Shanghai or Taipei or London. People have heard of these cities, and these are the kind of level of cities you need to open to routes like Cairo to make really good money. Like, of course, if you're a little bit more advanced, you can do kind of these mid-sized cities with more mid-sized planes, but they don't work with the 747 strategy, right? We need bigger routes for 747s. So anyhow, yeah, with that in mind, did we remember to uh increase the amount of what's it called? These boys in LA. Let's do a little bit more. I'm still a little bit nervous for this. The relative cost of these compared to going red is, like going red is way worse and not having enough. Um, anyhow, yeah, that should be fine. It's just two bluffs. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully we can recover our profits a little bit more by next episode. Hopefully by this time tomorrow, where we are where we were before the economic crash. Anyhow, there's still a lot of good routes to open. New York, um, even London, we could probably push out some even worse 747 routes. I don't really want to. Um, but we could push routes like this to 747s. I don't think it's worth it. Anyhow, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. I can't fucking click this. Oh my god. I can't click the end recording. Oh my god, let's close it this way.